Hello, this is David Broussard. Today we're going to talk about driving automation using Office 365. Now, what do we mean by driving automation? Well, one of the things that Microsoft has launched recently is a product or a service they call Microsoft Flow. And you can get to it by going to flow.microsoft.com, or from your Office 365, you can click on the app launcher, the Waffle app launcher, and you can click on the Flow app that's in there. So what is Flow? Well, Flow is a cloud-based, no-code automation engine. And what does this allow you to do? Well, first off, we have to back up for just a second and talk about what Flow isn't. Flow is not a full-fledged workflow system, okay? If you need full-fledged workflow, you're either going to write Logic Apps in Azure, or you're going to use Windows Workflow Foundation on Windows, or you're going to look at a third-party tool such as K2, Nintex, or something along those lines. So what can Flow allow us to do? Well, first off, it's a no-code solution. So understand that's one of the big limitations. I'm not going to be doing any coding using Flow. But what I can do is I can integrate events that happen across many cloud and on-premise services. So as an example, I can take things that happen in Office 365, like calendar events as part of Exchange, right? Meetings as part of Exchange. I can do SharePoint interactions such as looking in documents, checking out documents, updating items and lists, adding things to lists, right? I can do all of those inside of SharePoint. I can also interface with things like Yammer, which is part of Office 365. In addition to that, I can also integrate with other cloud services such as Dynamics CRM, Salesforce, anything basically that's out there that's running in the cloud as a software, as an application as a service, there is probably a connector for inside of Flow. Or if there isn't, one can be built if it exposes a REST API. You can build your own what they call Swagger interfaces, Swagger files that build an interface to a RESTful API. Now, that's useful in and of itself. I can talk to Facebook, I can talk to Twitter, I can talk to Yammer, I can talk to SharePoint online, I can talk to Salesforce, all these different services. But there are some other things I can talk to as well, because a lot of organizations recognize that, you know what, we really need to be able to talk to things that are on-premise as well. So Microsoft allows us to create connections to on-premise systems a couple of different ways. The first one is we can talk via these RESTful interfaces. Either directly, you can actually code a RESTful interface up inside of Flow and just go ahead and use it. Or you can put these Swagger files together to build it as a service. Or you can also talk to it via the Common Data Model, which is something that Microsoft is now offering. The Common Data Model can then interface with on-premise systems via a data access gateway. So you can take a SQL box, an Oracle box, an on-premise CRM server, and you can have its data exposed in the Common Data Gateway, thus allowing Flow to interact with it. So as an example, you go to your on-premise CRM that's running, somebody adds in a new vendor. That kicks off the data access gateway event, which then updates the vendor entity in the Common Data Model, which then kicks off a Flow, which maybe goes out and sends an email to somebody, or posts something in Yammer, or updates a SharePoint list with that information. So the possibilities are really amazing of what we can do with Flow. We can actually use it to go ahead and start to create interface automations between our different systems. And through the use of the Common Data Model, we can now interface with things that are both on-premise, in the cloud. Very powerful tool that we can use. One example that I've used it for in the past is when somebody enters a new news article into SharePoint, that news article kicks off a Flow that then posts about that news article in Yammer. So that as soon as somebody's posted something in SharePoint, we've socialized it in Yammer. That's just one example of many things that we can do. We do other things we can do are things like notifying somebody when a document is ready for approval or when it's been approved. Now, how is that different than doing alerts? Not really at this point in time, but I can put in some very complicated logic. For example, let's say that I have a flow set up that fires off when a document hits, whenever an item is updated in the list. Whenever that item is updated in the list, I can look at the metadata statuses and I can make decisions that say, oh, this is now hit approved status. I could then go out and look at who entered it, determine who their manager is, and then send an email to their manager, which is significantly more valuable and powerful than I could get out of a normal out-of-the-box alert inside of SharePoint. So I hope this has been useful to you to get an idea of what Flow can do. I strongly encourage you to go out and take a look at it. If you have Office 365, then your Microsoft gives you 2,000 Flow activations per user per month in a big pool. So if you've got 100 users, right, then you've got 200,000 Flow activations per month. If you've got more users, obviously you've got more, and you can always buy more Flow activations if you need to. So, powerful tool. It's part of your Office 365 licenses. I'd recommend that you go out and use it sometime. Have a good one.